welcome again to ELAC. My name is Nancy Escobar. This is another one of our Career Cafe interviews. I'm here representing the Career and Job Services team, and today we'll be interviewing Hans Kim as an occupational therapist.
How about we start with you telling us a little bit about your personal background and what led to your career that you're in today?
So, hello everyone, my name is Hans. I'm an occupational therapist working at Glendale Adventist. I recently graduated from Cal State University, Dominguez Hills with a master's in occupational therapy. And so, yeah, just a new graduate, just kind of wet around the ears still a bit, but just wanted to explain what OT is in the sense that occupational therapy, you probably heard a lot of physical therapy in the sense that athletes and getting recovering from their injuries as athletes, but OT is really dear and personal to me because we focus more on what we call everyday activities, all the activities that we might not really consider, whether it's getting dressed, taking a shower, eating breakfast, all these activities that are important to us and that we do. People have lost the ability to do that. So as an occupational therapist, we want to help you guys or the people who we're helping either gain the ability to do those activities or be able to regain those abilities if you've lost the function to do that. So a little bit about myself. I actually I just was generally like, I just want to help people. Just my personality, I just want to, and I think a lot of us have that need or want to help others, but I didn't know where to hone that. And so I went to UCLA and I wanted to be a teacher because I thought that would be a good way to either educate, teach students. And basically, I did an internship at UCLA at one of the nearby school districts, and I realized just how difficult my goal of really wanting to help students in more of an interactive one-on-one basis, because suddenly I'm having to teach 35 students as one student aide. So it was like this overwhelming, like, how am I going to be directly like personal with these students / also like helping them, because every student is at a different level at that point. And so it was really hard to do that. And basically, I was kind of disheartened, and I don't want to dishearten any other future potential teachers. Yeah, if you're feeling the passion for teaching, definitely go for it. But I felt like I could maybe be more, I can do a better job of helping students. And basically, a friend of mine was at the USC, University of Southern California, occupational therapy program, and she encouraged me to check that out as an avenue. And so I did so in a school district because OT has a lot of different avenues, which I'll talk about later. But yeah, just I did it through school, and I learned I could help students with their handwriting. I can help students access their curriculum if they're having a hard time being able to see the board, if their environment is too distracting, things like that. And basically seeing the psychological needs, the physical needs, even just the environmental needs that the students have. You have to take into consideration all these factors to help the student access what they're able to learn. And so I really liked that. And it was more of personal. I would have one student one-on-one sessions, or I would have small groups, at most maybe 5 or 6 students, where I could really see and guide treatments or sessions. And then I volunteered in a hand therapy place and got to work with another population, a lot of people with arthritis, a lot of people with hand disformities, and just got to help them also, like, oh, you're a barber, or you're someone who works with their hands a lot, and trying to see how we can help them regain some of their hand function. And so, yeah, a lot of just trying to give our patients the lifelong skills / regaining those skills, and really seeing, okay, like, this is what you'll be doing, this is how you'll be doing it, and a lot of educating, a lot of just being able to ask them what's important for you and what do you personally enjoy that we can help you go back into. And so that's what I really like about occupational therapy. There's this common service to us in that occupation. The first thing we hear is job, occupation, what do you do? And basically, it's not just about jobs. A job is important, yes, but it's more of what occupies your time. Do you like TikTok? Do you like video games? Do you like to make YouTube videos? Anything. We have all these things that are personal and are near and dear to our hearts. as an occupational therapist, we want you or the patients to do those things again. And so I really like that aspect of my job. But yeah, really, so far, really enjoying it. And yeah, any other questions?
What skills do you think are most important for a student that's looking to pursue, occupational therapy?
So I would say interpersonal skills are very important. The ability to really empathize and to really connect with your patients is huge, because a lot of times you are going to be working with one person or a group of people, and the ability to not only understand them and also see where they're coming from, but you also have to make sure like the vibe is, you're vibing with your patients, you're kind of getting along with them, and they're feeling comfortable with you, that they're able to share their life stories and their like struggles, and being able to, yeah, just making sure that they're comfortable. I think no matter who you're working with, it's always important to create this partnership, this relationship, as we say, because a lot of times in our medical system, it's the doctor kind of is this authority figure, and he's like, okay, do this, this, and this. And then it's very like, this guy is the head honcho telling the patients what to do. But in therapy, we feel like it's more an equal balance, where the patient is telling us information that's critical to them, and then we're explaining and providing information, but it's more of like, here's what we would recommend, here's what we would suggest. And then they would be like receptive. And then we would also give a little bit of what we call our therapeutic use of self, maybe a little humor here, a little bit of our perks and personalities, and just kind of, yeah, nobody is above another. We're both equal. We both want the same goals for one another. It's this collaborative effort. And basically, also some skills I would say is also learning to just know that we don't have the answers to everything, and we're constantly wanting to grow and learn. And so just being passionate, and just being able to taking the initiative. And so yeah, a lot of our work stems from just being able to communicate and to relate with people. So if you have a huge heart and wanting to really kind of have this good patient relationship, interpersonal skills, very important, very, very, very important. um, Sorry, the second question I think you said are, what are some of the challenges that I face day to day? Is that correct?
Yeah. What would be some of the challenges that you face on a day-to-day basis?
So I was talking about this a little earlier, in that when you are working with people and a lot of in customer service, you will have some people who aren't very appreciative of what you do, but you have to learn not to take that personally. It could be the situation that they're in, their sense of helplessness, and like, I've lost the use of my arms or my leg, and how am I ever going to get back to my job? And knowing that it's not them, it's not you personally, the therapist, that they're mad at, it's more of the situation. And they might not be as receptive to your services, might be like, I'm too old, I'm too like, can't do this. And you just have to like not be upset when they're upset at you. Also, I think time management is a huge thing. A lot of times, especially since I work at the hospital, we have to go to a lot of patients, and we have to, yeah, around the clock, and just be like, okay, I have to see my next patient, I have to see my next patient. And time management's huge. And so you have to be like, I only have 1 hour with this patient, and I only have 30 minutes with this next patient. What am I going to be doing in that hour that I can provide my patient with the most amount of information, and also with the treatment that will be most beneficial to them? And but also realizing that, like, yeah, you only have an hour with them, you can't like fix everything per se, but you'll try your best. You'll be like, here are the most important things we need to target. And basically, we need time to document what we did in the session. We need time to provide educational handouts, or just education in general, like what they need at home, this kind of equipment, and all these things you need to take into consideration when you step into a patient's room. Like, you're on the clock basically. But yeah, a lot of the challenges that I face every day is just kind of making sure that the patient isn't upset, and making sure that both of you guys are comfortable, and being able to explain what you're trying to do, especially as someone who only speaks Armenian or only speaks Spanish, and you're like, okay, my languages skills aren't very good, but let me try my best, and trying to find better ways to explain what's going on.
You've touched on this a little bit already, but what do you enjoy most about the work that you do? And is there any exciting project that you're currently working on?
So I really enjoy working with my patients, because I work sometimes in what we call acute rehab, where after patients had surgery or they just are recovering from a stroke, they would be sent to rehab to get better, to get stronger. And at this period of time, or at this facility, most patients' length of stay is like 2 to 3 weeks. And so you get a wide range of people, stemming from people who need a max of assistance of 2 people lifting them out of the bed, or someone who's what we call contact guard, like you just have a hover hand over them and you're like, okay, just don't fall, please. And basically, like, you get to see the progression that you see, maybe someone who was needing 2 people to assist them to someone who's like now like just needing that hover hand over them. And it's kind of like mind-blowing to see that, like, whoa, like you've gone so much, you've improved so much. But also, like, the people you meet are so interesting. Like, you get to, I work at a very primarily Armenian populated area, so a lot of the stories you hear, you pick up a lot of Armenian, and it really goes a long way when you like learn the language and they're like, whoa, like your Armenian is so good. And I'm like, oh, merci, which I know is French, but that's what they say, thank you as well. But yeah, like, it really goes a long way when you learn the language and you kind of connect with your patients, and it makes the session even better when you guys are like chilling and joking around, trying to distract them off their pain and off their shortcomings and hindrances. And yeah, it's a good time. But sometimes, you just have patients who just aren't so grumpy, but you brighten up their day by like, hey, can I get you a blanket, or can I like help you up today, or anything like that. It's really awesome to really kind of be the person that helps them out. Any personal projects that I'm doing? Well, right now, since I'm a new graduate, I'm still kind of wet around the ears, and I'm learning a lot at the facility that I'm at, because every day is like I'm learning better ways to improve, whether body mechanics, making sure I don't hurt my back so I can keep working 20 years later, or just like, what do I do with the patient with this kind of symptom or this kind of condition, Parkinson's or multiple sclerosis. Like, you hear all these kind of medical terms and immediately you're like, oh my gosh, like, what do I do? This is scary. But just kind of every day you're learning more and more. Hopefully later down the line, I'm still kind of new to the stroke field, and hopefully I can learn some more stroke interventions, some more ways to kind of help people regain function in their their body parts. And but yeah, just kind of every day, I think we're all learning, whether we're students, whether we're people who finish school, whether we're working. Every day we're learning something new. I don't think it's mostly academic. Maybe you are learning something academic, but whether it's how we interact with people, or it's how we even approach life, any experience can help us enrich us, help us grow. But yeah, just, I'm still kind of looking to see if this is even the right field. Maybe I don't want to be into a hospital setting. And as I said earlier, OT has so many avenues. I can work in school districts with pediatrics, with pediatrics meaning young kids, working with in pediatric clinic, trying to help young kids how to swallow their food, or even kids who don't like their food, the textures that might be a little too for them. Something that we might even have, like, oh shoot, maybe like I don't like carrots because like the texture is weird to me. We as OTs address that. Hand therapy, you just kind of seeing like, oh, I have carpal tunnel, playing too many video games, too much Fortnite or something like that. We help out with that as well. Community settings, we go to communities and trying to help rehabilitate, like if we have withdrawal alcohol syndrome, people who have a hard time abstaining from alcohol, making programs on how to do that. OT is just so multifaceted, so many different ways to help people go back into their life, that that we can, yeah, we really do a lot. And it's kind of a bummer that OT isn't something a lot of people hear about, because OT is like overtime or Old Testament or every other acronym OT. But yeah, I wish that at one point OT will be as synonymous or as well known as physical therapy or a physician's assistant, these kind of careers that people are more aware of, and that more people will be engaged in. And yeah, so every day just kind of becoming more of a master of my profession, because I think a lot of us, when we start working, we kind of are like, oh, like I don't know what I'm doing, and you kind of fake it till you make it almost. But yeah, you just kind of, you are in the situation, you're learning, and hopefully I'll get certified in some more different avenues, kinesio tape with athletes, or like stroke certifications, hopefully down the line.
Yeah. So you mentioned you're a recent graduate. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What recommendations would you have for students that are exploring to enter this field? Like, what are some common entry level jobs? I know you mentioned that it's very wide, a lot wider than I even considered. But yeah, any like common entry level jobs or internships?
So first I'll go with the recommendations for any student, even if you're not interested in occupational therapy. A recommendation or some tips that I would tell students is intern, shadow, get into the profession that you're interested in, get the hands-on experience, and really see if this is something that you want to do. Because it's one thing to actually read and like Google and be like, oh, that sounds pretty interesting. Like, I think I can do that. And then going into the field and you're like, this is not what I expected at all. This is like not what Google told me. This is more like, like poop and pee. Like, man, like I didn't sign up for this. And basically, yeah, get the hands-on experience, really put yourself out there, reach out to a lot of people, connect with people. Connections are huge, especially in the OT field, because it's such a small field that a lot of people know each other. And we have so many Facebook groups saying like, hey, I'm from California. I have a patient who has this. Can you like, what are some recommendations other therapists have? And that's a way that we even learn like, oh, I didn't even consider that. So that's almost like older therapists giving the younger therapists some experience and tips. Go on some of these Facebook forums or groups and ask like, I'm interested in occupational therapy. I'm interested in physical therapy. And what would I do? How could I like put myself out there? Look at the surrounding areas that you're at. Are there any facilities nearby? Any hand therapy facilities? Any schools that are having OTs? That's how I started. I just contacted my school district nearby and saying, hey, I saw that you have an occupational therapist here. Can I shadow him? And yeah, just put yourself out there. I would also say talk to as many professionals as possible. See what their everyday job is like. Is it something that you want to do? Is it something that you'll be on board with? And just basically, yeah, just to get their perspective. What are their recommendations? And ask them, how's the field looking like in about 10 years? Is it growing? Is it dying? Is it something that you would do if you were to go back in time? Do you have any regrets about this choice of profession? Yeah, see their insights and get people's opinions. Some common entry level jobs is that my profession requires that you have a master's in, which is the step after your bachelor degree. So for you guys, that might be a little bit down the line. But there is a program, a bachelor or an associate's program, which we call a certified occupational therapy aide, for sure, a COTA, COTA. And they're the ones that like help us out when we're kind of like, I can't see all these patients at once. I'll divvy out the treatment sessions and give recommendations like, this person needs to work on dressing today. This person needs to learn how to bathe themselves. So a lot of that is, I hand out treatment sessions and plans so that they're able to do that while I can do more of like the evaluations or more of the charting or more of the documentation. And so, yeah, that's a step that you can also go into, become an aide. And I've heard so many stories where aides become therapists and then kind of continue down the line in their professions like that. And so, yeah, that's one way to do it. Also, maybe volunteering at the hospital. A lot of our aides who help us with these like 2 people assists are just aides, and they kind of help us, as the name implies, aiding us. Or just volunteering, volunteers. We see a bunch of volunteers at times. Not right now with the whole COVID pandemic, but there was a lot of volunteers, and they would just kind of see like, hey, what's going on? It doesn't hurt to ask. It doesn't hurt to ask. These people aren't scary. They're not gonna be like, pay us $10 and then we'll let you in the scoop. Yeah, don't be intimidated. Use a professional email. I know when I was fresh out of school, I used this very colloquial like Hans Kim is the best at gmail.com. Use a professional email, please, students. And they'll be more likely to contact you to a personal email. And but yeah, just get your feet wet, get into it, and just do the research and see what's available around you. Really get the experience, and then invest yourself into the career.
Where do you see yourself next as like the next step in your career? I know you mentioned a couple of certificates. Is that something that you're thinking about exploring? What's next for you?
So yeah, definitely. We, as an occupational therapist, I want to keep growing in my proficiency to help my patients. And so, as I was saying, there are like stroke certifications, what we call continuing education. So in the therapy field, we need to keep up to date with our treatments, what we call evidence-based practice, because we can't just do whatever we want because that's not scientific. And who knows, is this something that's backed up by research? Is this something that's ethical? We need to make sure what we're doing is backed up by the science, is backed up by the literature. And so that's huge in our profession, is this evidence-based practice. And so being professional and doing so, abiding by evidence-based practice, and then making sure that doctors and the healthcare professionals, we need to keep getting continuing education. So those people who are like, oh great, more school after I graduate, it's not quite like that. It's just like these kind of classes that you'll take just to get better at whatever you're interested in. So there's like these classes that are focused on stroke patients. And you pay money to go to these seminars or these places, and you learn a lot and you get hands-on experience. And you need these CEs, continuing education classes, to keep your license, of course, because nobody wants to be falling on hard times and way retro and behind on their treatments. But there's like, yeah, different avenues. I think, as I said earlier, kinesio tape, that's what the athletes wear, like on their shoulders and things like that. That's a certificate that you can use. There's another thing called physical agent modalities, PAMs for short, that allow us to use heat packs, ice packs. So you need a certificate to use those things. And a lot of people are like, well, you just stick an ice pack on and just tell it and everything's okay. Unfortunately, it's more than that. It's a lot. You have to know, like, when can I use these modalities? Does someone have a pacemaker? That means I can't use these electrical modalities. And so, yeah, a lot of like, and some other modalities include like TENS units, these things that shoot electricity down your arm just to kind of reactivate the nerves, things like that. You need certificates to do these things. And so I think down the line, hopefully I can get these certificates, but definitely at the present moment, just being in the moment, just learning a lot about like, okay, like I'm seeing this patient, this new patient, like what can I do? What are some approaches? Asking my coworkers, asking people online, like what are some like ways I can be better at this? And yeah, every day I'm just learning. So hopefully down the line I can be certified in a lot of these things and I can do more for my patients, but taking it day by day.
We really appreciate you sharing all your insight with our students, and wish you the best of luck as you transition into, full-time in this career.
Thank you so much, Nancy.